If you've run out of available mobile licenses, then you or a member of your team might be seeing a message like this one here, where it says you don't have mobile access, please contact a member of your company admin. So what can you do in these situations? What are your options? Well, with our system, the mobile licenses are the things you pay for. And you can see here on my dashboard, I have 1 out of 1 mobile licenses that have been used. So I have 1 available and 1 in use by Mark Malone. And that's because he has a tick in this column here. So what you do in this situation is really going to depend on your way of working and whether each member of staff needs a full-time license or not. So what I would say is if you have contractors or members of staff who are perhaps working part-time, then you can technically juggle the license around a little bit. Although it is extra admin work in the office to have to do this, it can be a good way to keep your license costs down and still allow different members of the team to have mobile access. This is only really going to work if your different team members are working at different times. So if you have 1 license and 2 members of staff who need to be on different sites at the same time doing work, this isn't really going to work. However, if you've got 2 members of staff who alternate going out to site, then this would absolutely work. All you need to do is go into the user who currently has the license. I'm going to click on Mark here. This is going to open up the user permissions page. I can then untick Mark's mobile license, save this record by hitting this button here, and then I could go into another user, for example, I'll go into Andrew. I can then tick his mobile permission. So I've taken it from Mark, that will free up the license, and then I've given it to Andrew. So this is what we call license juggling. As I say, you're going to have to remember to do it when that member of staff needs to go to site. Now, on the other hand, if you have 2 people in this situation who are both on site at the same time, you will need to increase your license count. The way you do that is to head over to the billing page here. You can then increase your license count to whatever you need, then head back to this users page and you should have an extra license available. It'll be indicated here at the top. So instead of 1 of 1 license used, it would say 1 of 2 licenses used if I'd added a second license. I can then allocate that to whoever I want, anytime that I want. I can take it away and move it around just like I described before. So for a lot of companies that we work with, they might have, say, 1 or 2 fixed licenses, which are for members of staff that are always surveying, always on the ground. And then they might also have a floating license or 2 that they can just swap around between different team members. It's also worth noting that you don't necessarily need the same number of licenses as you do surveyors. So if you have a team of 2, for example, then you might just need 1 license for that team, because one person could be collecting the data on the app and the other person might be doing the work. So if that's something that you do, then just think about how the app's actually going to be used, because it will potentially keep your license costs down. So just to recap on everything we've discussed, if you have users who are always going to be on site at the same time on different sites, then you will probably need to increase your license count if you have no available licenses. If, on the other hand, you have people who go to site at different times, or maybe work as a team, then you could just have a license that is shared between different people that you just move from one person to another when it's required. If you're trying to figure out whether you should add more licenses and you're not sure whether it's going to be worth it, I suggest you check out our ROI calculator on our website, which has some great tools where you can put in some figures and actually see how much money you could potentially save. Also consider whether it might be worth cross-training some staff, because with our system you actually don't pay for new templates, you just pay for the users, so it does increase the value of the software the more templates you have, so just think about that as well.